ocean keeps secrets that can send chills down your spine. Vessels vanish, monstrous predators lurk unseen, and every so often, something emerges that science can't fully explain. These are the dark, unsolved mysteries of the deep sea, puzzles that may forever remain hidden beneath the waves, daring us to uncover the truth. Something massive swam off the coast of Australia, taking bites out of great white sharks as though they were little more than snacks. Scientists placed a tracking device on a healthy 9-foot shark, only to discover it abruptly plunging to the depths at extreme speed. When the tag was finally recovered on a beach, the data suggested that the poor shark had been devoured by an even larger predator. Some experts chalk it up to a colossal great white. Others hint at the possibility of a creature so elusive that it still manages to dodge even our best research efforts. Perhaps out there in the dark depths, there's a monster big enough to make even apex predators disappear in a single gulp, like, say, the mighty Megalodon. On July 19th, 1920, the Carroll A Deering picked up its cargo of coal and set out for delivery to Rio de Janeiro, but on the way, the captain fell quite ill, so the ship had to turn back and head to port nearby in order to drop him off and get another captain on board. By the time September rolled around, the Deering was back on track for Rio and the coal was delivered with no issues. While docked in Rio, however, new Captain Wormel apparently met with an old friend and spoke of his crew on the ship with a bit of disdain, although he did like the ship's engineer, Herbert Bates. On the way home, the ship stopped for supplies in Barbados and there was more gossip, but this time it was between the first mate and another captain, with the first mate talking smack about Captain Wormel. So clearly there was some tension going on this ship. On January 28th, 1921, the ship was sighted by the Cape Lookout lightship off of North Carolina, and the lightship's keeper said that someone with a megaphone on the Deering said the ship had lost its anchor and asked the keeper to notify the owners of the Deering, but unfortunately, the lightship's radio was out, so no call was ever made. On January 31st, the ship was spotted in what is known as the Graveyard of the Atlantic, but because of bad weather, it wasn't boarded until February 4th. Once people got on the boat, however, it was clear that the ship had been completely abandoned. The steering equipment was found to be damaged and the wheel was shattered. The ship's log and navigation equipment were gone, along with all personal belongings and the ship's 2 lifeboats. Since this discovery, at least 5 separate government agencies have tried to figure out what could have possibly happened here and what happened to the entire crew, but it remains a mystery to this day. Because of all the drama, mutiny is suspected to be the most likely explanation, but still, where is the rest of the crew who potentially overthrew the captain? It is likely that we may never know the events that took place during those months on the ship. Jim Gray was an incredibly important computer scientist who was responsible for many computer advancements that changed things for all of us. Other than being a computer scientist, he was also an experienced and skilled sailor, and one day on January 28, 2007, he set sail for a short trip so he could head out and spread his mother's ashes as she had recently passed away. As he began his trip, Jim spoke to his wife on the phone and said that he would call her once he got back in range. After their phone call, he called his daughter as well and left a little message for her, and then he was off on his trip, but unfortunately, he never ended up returning. Jim's wife, Donna, was the one who raised the alarm bells as she was away on a trip, but like I mentioned, Jim said he would call her later, and he never did. At this point is when huge searches begin. Thousands of images of the area where Jim and his boat might be were uploaded to the Amazon Mechanical Turk for people to look through and see if they could find any kind of signs, but to no avail. Jim also had an automatic emergency position indicating beacon on his ship, but whatever happened to Jim and the ship clearly didn't meet the requirements, or perhaps it had some sort of malfunction, or maybe it was even turned off. To this day, no one knows what happened to Jim or his boat, as no signs or trace of either has ever been found. The theories of what may have happened are endless and range from Jim intentionally disappearing to him being taken for his computer skills and brain in order to do some kind of inside job, and everything in between. There most definitely are theories that are seemingly more likely than others, but at the end of the day, they are all a possibility. Pilots and seafarers in the Bermuda Triangle region have reported strange phenomena for decades. Things like compasses spinning wildly, radios cutting out, and time seeming to warp. These stories point to something dubbed the electronic fog, a swirling haze that messes with navigation and communication. Witnesses claim they find themselves traveling thousands of miles off course without even realizing it, or even shaving hours off an otherwise standard journey. Skeptics dismiss these tales as garbled instruments and pilot error, but those who've experienced it are convinced that there is unexplained phenomenon at play. It's the kind of mystery that keeps experienced captains peering nervously at their compasses, hoping not to be the next ones swallowed by the fog. Keith Davis was a fisheries observer with a passion for ocean conservation, boarding commercial vessels to document catches and protect marine life. In 2015, while working aboard a tuna boat in the Pacific, he simply vanished. His gear and personal effects were left behind, and no one claimed to have any clue about his final moments. Like with any mystery, rumors began to circulate. Was he threatening someone's illegal fishing operation? Could he have been lost in rough seas? Or was there foul play beneath the surface? A supposed SOS message crackled over the radio in the late 1940s. Quote, "All officers, including the captain, are dead. Possibly whole crew dead." When researchers boarded the Dutch freighter Ourang Medan, they found bodies sprawled on decks and in corridors, faces twisted in terror, but no obvious injuries. Then, just as the boarding party considered towing the ship, it burst into flames and sank. Official records are murky, some dispute whether the vessel even existed, but the chilling detail of an entire crew dying in extreme fear lingers in maritime folklore. Was it a cargo mishap involving chemicals, or something more sinister at play? The final word went down with the ship, leaving dark legends in its wake. On March 21st, 1998, Amy and her family boarded the Rhapsody of the Seas, which was a Royal Caribbean cruise ship en route to Curaçao. On March 24th, after a fun night on the ship, Amy was hanging out and having a couple drinks with the ship's band, and one of the members explained that she parted ways with them around 1 a.m. After this, around 5:15 a.m., Amy's father said he saw her sleeping on the cabin balcony. Unfortunately, however, when 6 a.m. rolled around, she wasn't there anymore, and this was the beginning of the mystery. Once it was realized that Amy was missing, extensive searches were launched for full days before they ended up being called off when no signs or traces of Amy had been found. While this is all super mysterious and nobody really had anything to go on, the plot only thickens with this story. Over the years, witnesses claimed to spot her in the company of unidentified individuals, fueling rumors that she might have been taken and forced into a clandestine ring. Official investigations offered no conclusive breakthroughs, and her family's desperate appeals never yielded a definitive lead. The case has become a tragic emblem of how swiftly a person can slip into the oceanic unknown. In 2013, the 70-foot schooner Niña set sail from New Zealand toward Australia with a crew of 6, including an experienced captain known for tackling difficult voyages. A brief text message indicated that they had hit heavy weather, but rescue efforts were launched too late. The Niña vanished without a trace, leaving only partial satellite data suggesting it might have been thrown wildly off course. Debris sightings were reported but never confirmed. Some suspect it capsized in the storm, while others claim its wreckage may be drifting in some uncharted zone. Rebecca Coriam was a British crew member and youth worker on the Disney Wonder cruise ship in 2011. In the early morning hours of March 22nd, Rebecca was seen on CCTV footage in the crew lounge speaking to someone on the telephone, and it appeared as though the conversation was a bit emotionally distressing for her. A few hours later, people began to worry because Rebecca hadn't shown up for the start of her shift, which was really unlike her, and when people went to go see if maybe she had slept in or something like that, they were unable to locate her anywhere on the ship, which of course made people even more worried. That CCTV footage of Rebecca is the last known sighting of her, and since then, no one has been able to figure out where she went or what happened to her. The first assumption was of course that perhaps she had gone overboard, and it prompted extensive searches of the waters in the area, but unfortunately nothing turned up. Almost an entire year after her disappearance, someone emailed Rebecca's family family to say she was 85% sure that she had seen Rebecca with a man on the streets of Venice, but unfortunately, this potential lead didn't turn up any real evidence or clues. Many people state that perhaps Disney Cruise Lines knows more about what really happened, as other crew members have suggested that the entire ship is covered with so many cameras, there's no way whatever happened could have been missed, but of course there is no evidence that has been discovered which would prove these allegations. It has been nearly 15 years since Rebecca's extremely mysterious disappearance, and still no one knows exactly what happened on that terrible night. And finally, to close out our list today, we have the Ellen Austin. A wooden schooner built in the 1800s, the Ellen Austin had a successful run transporting goods across the Atlantic. That is, until she came upon an abandoned ship adrift near the Bermuda Triangle. Crew members boarded the mystery vessel and attempted to sail it to safety. Not long after, the two ships were separated by a sudden storm. When the Ellen Austin caught up, the other vessel was once again deserted. Determined not to let the ship vanish, the captain sent more men aboard, but again, the two vessels became separated in bad weather, and this time the derelict was never seen again. Historians debate whether the story is true or embellished over time, but it leaves a haunting question. What strange fate claimed the life of that ghostly craft? Alright guys, that has been our list for today. Thanks so much for checking it out. I've been your host today, Olivia Kozlowski, and I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.